Joining us now is Portland, Maine City Council member Wesley Pelletier. Thank you so much for being here. You have called this crackdown in your city a war on our streets. What are you witnessing? What is your community experiencing right now?
So every morning we wake up and we are hearing reports from across the city of ICE agents, CBP agents in unmarked cars pulling up in front of houses, knocking on doors and terrorizing people. We've seen arrests out in the street, seemingly random. And, you know, our community's coming out in force to protect these people, but it's really terrorizing. And a lot of our neighbors are staying home. Our schools are kind of empty right now. And it's heartbreaking to see, and it's confusing. This is not something anyone here wants, asked for, and we have things that we could use that tax money for rather than, you know, thugs terrorizing folks.
I'm sure it is confusing. There's been a lack of transparency, and there's a lot of just a lack of clarity, I think, is the big thing. DHS has called this Operation Catch of the Day. They say they're targeting the worst of the worst criminal aliens across Maine. That's their words. And they claim that on day one of this operation that they arrested people who've been convicted of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, endangering the welfare of a child. The Trump administration has suggested you and other Democratic officials want to protect these alleged criminals. How do you respond to that?
I want to protect the people of our community. We had a mother that was terrorized in her house because there was a unmarked pickup truck that was at the end of her driveway that kept circling around, and she just needed to go out to get diapers for her baby. And we knew for a fact that if she walked out of that door, she'd be thrown up against the wall and then detained. And we had to organize people to come out, make sure that the child was taken to safety, and then bring in groceries and supplies to her so that she could remain safe. And, you know, she is crying and terrified the whole time and said she felt like a criminal. She's not a criminal. She's a member of our community. And, you know, it's unacceptable that this is what's happening.
Again, Maine's population is about 90% white, and the administration appears to be targeting a small community of some 3,000 people of Somali descent. What do you make of this pointed operation?
It's white nationalism. You know, this is not something that it's worth mincing words about. These are people that think that the only good community is a white community, and it's a small number of people, and it's widely, widely unpopular. We are seeing people from all political ways of life in Portland coming together and uniting and finding ways to protect their communities and protect their schools. And it's radicalizing a lot of folks to see our tax money being used in such a cruel and, you know, evil way.
Governor Janet Mills was asked why your state was being targeted. Here's what she said.
He's gone to a lot of blue states, hasn't he? He went to Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, all Democratic governors. I happen to be a Democratic governor. Ostensibly, they're coming here, they say, because of the an immigrant population that they find in disfavor. So I don't know. You'll have to ask them why they're here.
Your reaction to what does appear to be a real focus on Democratic-run states?
It's vindictiveness, and also I know that this is so deeply unpopular that anyone who sees it immediately knows that this is not an administration that has our backs and is here to help us. They are here. The people that watch this are never going to vote for anyone in this administration, or frankly, any Democrats that aren't willing to take a stand on this. I think they're afraid of that blowback if they were going to do that in other states.
What's your message to members of your community today?
You know, for my neighbors that are not black and brown and that are not being targeted, you know, I want to say thank you. I have, you know, the person who ran against me in this race, you know, we had a very contentious race, and she's out there as a key organizer doing anti-fascist work because of this crackdown. So I want to say thank you to my community, and I want to say to our immigrant community, we are doing everything we can to put an end to this and to protect you.
What does accountability look like? Because I know you have called on lawmakers on Capitol Hill to push for action on abolishing ICE. Why do you think that's the answer? Is it that simple?
It's so hard to see people like Susan Collins and Cory Booker say that this is about body cameras or about more training. We are out here. We had a nurse get yelled at by an ICE officer when she said, "You're not welcome here." He said, "I'm going to arrest 3 more families because of that today." That flies in the face of everything that these, press conferences are saying. And we need leadership in Washington to take this seriously, to defund it, and to get rid of this agency. That is the baseline of what we need. We need prosecutions. This is blatantly illegal and cruel and against what America supposedly stands for. So we need action. We need people in Washington to grow a spine and to stand up for people like the people in our community are standing up for their neighbors.
Do you have any idea how long this operation could last in Portland? And how do you stand up for those people and support those people who are living in fear right now?
Again, our community is responding in such a way. We've already been building networks. We have funds like the Maine Solidarity Fund that's providing legal resources. And the hard part is we are bringing so many people in, and people are being traumatized. They are seeing these abductions and then saying, what more could I have done? And the answer is nothing. We have to bear witness to seeing someone's life destroyed, to seeing, parents ripped away from their children, literally in front of their schools. And through that trauma, we are becoming more tight-knit and we are becoming much stronger. And now we are building that organization and a leaderful organization that is protecting as many people as we can. And we're going to, when we come out of this, we are going to be a much stronger community, despite, the people that are missing from it and the people that have been taken from it. And we're going to do what we can to get them back.
Wesley Pelletier, thank you very much for being with us.